Pro-government forces multiplied their efforts to recapture territory from armed groups and terrorist organizations this year, as you know. During the first 6 months of 2018, they initiated battles in Aleppo, northern Homs, Damascus, Dara, and Idlib governorates. The result of the hostilities was dramatic, as pro-government forces took over large parts of the territory. These gains came at an extremely high cost to civilians. These operations displaced over 1 million Syrian men, women, and children in under 6 months. Hundreds of thousands of civilians fled clashes in Dara, and tens of thousands fled through humanitarian corridors in eastern Ghouta to camps set up near Damascus. Tens of thousands of other civilians were forcibly displaced in consequence of evacuation agreements negotiated among warring parties. Conditions are dire for many of the civilian women, men, and children in Idlib, especially for those who have already been displaced from other parts of the country and for those living in designated terrorist-controlled territory.
Hi, Lisa Schlein, Voice of America.
These 2.9 million, almost 3 million, they are not there because they decided to go to Idlib. They are there because of reconciliation formats. These people were transported to Idlib. Then it's pathetic that this population transferred to Idlib is supposed to be confronted with these bombardments that we have just described. But I think that's very important that the communication among the principal influential countries is not interrupted. This is continuing at this very moment that we are here, and we expect that this political conversation will prevent this carnage.
The term humanitarian and spoke in kind of other language.
But what is striking is that how many are these terrorists and other armed groups? You don't have more than 10,000. You have 10,000, and you are fighting 10,000 armed people, terrorists, and the 3 million population will be the price to fight. Of course, you don't have anything against fighting against terrorists, but something has to be done to protect the rights of the 3 million people and 1 million children.
That occurs from the barrel bombing and other heavy bombardment. How do you?
You know, the civilian population, as Paolo has been saying, should not be held hostage to a war on terror. We have no problem with states going after terrorists, armed groups, etc., if they've committed crimes or about to commit crimes, but not at the cost of innocent civilians. And that's why we have international law, and humanitarian law and human rights law. And they need to figure out a way to deal with terrorist groups that does not sacrifice civilian population.
Do you think that there is some kind of a viability to having?
If Idlib goes the same way as we've seen in other places, then it's a complete failure of the international system, and it's a complete failure of many of us to be able to prevent what we've seen happening time and again. And I think this is why you're now seeing the Secretary General, the Special Envoy, and many countries saying, you know, this should not be happening. You know, Idlib should not become the next massacre, the final massacre in the battles in